Hi and welcome back to Mama Gee's Break. Today we're going into my kitchen. I am going to show you how to make a one bowl scratch made chocolate cake, and I promise you this will be the best chocolate cake you've ever had in your life. It does not require frosting. It is so good you won't want the frosting. It's also very, very easy. I don't care if you have a problem with your cooking skills, if you burn water, if Betty Crocker cake mixes are a little beyond your ability. You can do this as long as you follow the instructions, okay? And as long as you just let yourself realize that it's okay if it doesn't turn out. It's just a cake, okay? But this cake is really that good. Now, for my vegetarian and vegan friends, I'm not leaving you out here. Yes, I'm about to make a cake that does include eggs and milk. I have done this cake for a vegetarian friend of mine where I didn't use milk because she had a milk issue, and I tried it with a rice milk and it turned out just fine. The only thing was you need to be careful what flavor you're using. There's vanilla in this cake, and if you like a lot of vanilla flavor in your chocolate cakes to make it more of a milk chocolate, go ahead and use a vanilla flavored milk. Whether it's soy, almond, or rice. If you don't, just go with the plain unflavored one and you're fine. As far as the eggs, it can be done with egg substitute. The texture is going to be a little bit different. Not terribly different. This is one of the most moist cakes that you're going to ever find. And the chocolate flavor is amazing because you're just going to use cocoa. Powdered cocoa. So make sure you've got some good cocoa powder. The stuff that I'm about to use that I'm going to show you is a store brand. It is an off brand. Most of the stuff that I use is store brand because I have a problem with paying for a name. Some things you cannot buy generic. Tampons, not a good idea. Buy a name brand. Macaroni and cheese, even then I feel like you need to get name brand. But your vanilla, your flour, your sugar, your, basic things like that, don't pay for a name brand. I don't have to use Dixie crystals. No, I don't. I use just a store brand sugar. I use store brand milk. I use store brand everything else. So I'm going to speed this up because it could take a few minutes. It's really pretty short, but you got to figure I'm kind of doing this on one leg. So I'm going to speed the video up and talk you through it. I'm also going to put the ingredients in the down bar and the full instructions. Okay, yes, a couple of my kids might be a little bit annoyed that I'm giving away this recipe, but you know what? I understand secret family recipes, but I also feel like recipes are made to be shared. And this one definitely needs to be shared unless you decide you like it so much it's going to be your own personal secret. So this is an absolute one bowl, guaranteed, amazing chocolate cake from Mama Gee's Break. You ready to go to my kitchen? Okay, so we're in my kitchen. Lighting my kitchen is a little bit difficult, so the light could get a little bit weird, and I'm going to speed up some of this so that we can get it done quickly. And I'm going to be dropping the camera angle down so you can see what I'm doing. And off and on I'll stop and talk to you because there's a couple little weird things. The first thing that you need to do is go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees and put a kettle on. I always feel like anytime you're in the kitchen you need to put the kettle on anyway because I'm going to make myself a cup of tea, but I also need boiling water for this recipe. This recipe is very simple, but it's a little bit strange. The batter that you're going to make is nowhere near the texture and consistency of the cake batter that you're used to. It's very, very thin and very, very runny. So when you make this and it turns out like slightly thicker hot chocolate, it's right. Don't panic. You're on the right track and it's going to come out just fine. So I'm going to go preheat my oven to 350 and put the kettle on, and then we're going to get started. Oh, and one more quick thing. I'm going to be using a stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, don't panic. You don't need one. You don't even need a hand mixer. You could do this just stirring it. I promise you. It's just easier for me and faster because standing up is really hard. I'm actually going to be doing this kind of perched with my bad leg on a chair and hoping that my good leg that is now giving out because I'm supposed to be in a wheelchair at all times, notice I'm not at the moment, and I may end up being in it shortly. So if all of a sudden I get real short, you'll know why. I'm going to be either doing it perched, standing in a chair, or actually sitting. So this can be done by anybody. Are you ready? Let's get going.
Okay, so let's get going. We're going to start with the sugar. You're going to need 2 cups of white sugar. I have absolutely no idea why I'm measuring it like this other than I'm weird. So 2 cups of white sugar is going to go in there. After that, I need 1 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I like my little retro can. My little dog running by very fast. Alright, once we've got that flour in there, we're going to go to 3/4 cups of unsweetened cocoa powder. Make sure it's unsweetened or you are going to have a major problem. Then we are going to add, after that, let's get that cocoa powder in there. Taking me a minute, obviously. After that cocoa powder gets in there, we want to add 1½ teaspoons of baking powder. I'm using a 1/2 teaspoon measure there, that's what I'm telling you 3. So 1½ teaspoons of baking powder and 1½ teaspoons of baking soda. Yep, we're using both. A teaspoon of salt.
Now, this has the potential to get messy because I only have dry ingredients in here, but I'm going to turn this on because I want to stir it together. So what you want to do is make sure that you're going slow and low while you're doing it, because I just want all the ingredients to combine. Get them all stirred in there together so you get a good, even mixture. Get that cocoa powder right through there. When it's all pretty well mixed together, it's time to get our wet ingredients going. So let's do that. As you can hear, my kettle is starting to sing, so we are ready to add the wet ingredients.
Let's get those in there right now. We're going to start with 2 eggs. Followed by that 2 eggs, it's going to be 1 cup of milk. After that, we will go into a 1/2 cup of vegetable oil. And then, after that, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. I use pure vanilla extract. I don't like the imitation stuff. I think it's yucky.
Okay, so here's where it gets a little weird. You can see, well, for one, that my mixer doesn't want to spin like it should, so I'm going to turn it up so it will. And for 2, now is where I'm going to add the boiling water. You're going to put a cup of boiling water in, if I can reach it. Here we go. You want to add this slowly because it's going to want to splash unless you're doing this by hand. When you hear it, it's really, really thin. Seriously, it's like chocolate soup. I'm going to see if I can get the camera to actually zoom in on how thin this is. Okay, so when you've gotten it to that soupy texture, and I mean runny, and it looks like hot chocolate, really, it's okay. I totally panicked the first time that I made this cake and I saw how thin it was. I really thought that I had screwed up royally. This is hard to turn around when you have a stupid chair. Okay, thought I'd screwed up royally, but it is correct. When you've got a soupy mess, you've got it right. okay? Now I'm just gonna get my cake pan out. Normally I would use a 9 by 13 rectangular pan. You can use a round cake pan if you want to, but your time is gonna vary on your baking. I use a 9 by 13, spray it out with some baking spray, and then I'm gonna pop this in the oven for 30 to 35 minutes, okay? At a 350-degree oven. So let me get my pan out and I'll show you just exactly what I mean about soupy, and we'll get it in the oven. Okay, so I've got my 9 by 13 Pyrex. You know what? My mother trusted Pyrex. I trust it too. I know there's a lot of different baking
Into this, we're going to be putting
pans
2 eggs.
Bakeware out there, but
put them in there one at
I
a
just
time.
like my Pyrex. And I love this one.
And you're going to need a
now,
cup of milk.
We're about to do the soupy thing. And I know that most people, when they make a cake, you want to lick the beaters.
Oil.
Babies, there's nothing to lick on these beaters.
Next.
It is that thin. I'm going to make sure everything is up off the bottom.
And then 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract.
That I've got it mixed real well through. Just sprayed out that pan.
That mixed in.
And seriously, thin cake mix, cake batter, yeah. It's just like
your 1 cup of boiling water.
A thicker version of hot chocolate. So I'm going to get that scraped out real well. Oh my goodness, I wish you could smell this. It's not even baking yet, and it's wonderful. And I know there's some of you that are going, there is no way that is going to turn into a cake. She's going to switch it with another cake. I promise you I'm not. First of all, this has worn me out. This is it for me for today. This is all I'm going to be able to do for the next few hours until I start making dinner. This is going in the oven at 350, and I'm going to set my timer for 35 minutes. Thankfully, I have very long arms, so I can reach from where I've propped myself. Ah. Possibly not the smartest maneuver, oh Lord, in the world, because if I fell, I'd fall headfirst into the oven. So my little oven timer, I've got to get a new one of these. I love oven timers, but I like them to be cute, and this one's not the cutest thing in the world. It has like a little cake decorating tip on it. I need something new and different. Any suggestions? So that is that. That's going to go in the oven, and I will show you what it's like when it comes out and how I top it. I don't put frosting on it, but I like it to be pretty. So we'll be right back with that. Okay, so 35 minutes later, the timer just went off, so I'm going to hobble over here and get this cake. Oh my goodness. I wish you could smell this. I really wish you could smell this. This cake comes up beautifully. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it cool for, I'm going to give it 20 minutes to cool. And then I'm going to dust the top, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to make it prettyful. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes, and what I've done is I have just cut out some paper hearts, and I have put them on the top of it while it continues cooling, and I'm just going to leave them there. They're just little paper hearts that I cut out. You could cut out any shape that you wanted and just stick them on there and let it continue to cool. It kind of helps them get to the same shape as the cake before you dust it. Okay, we have cooled for 20 minutes. I have my little sieve here and some powdered sugar, some confectioner's sugar. And my little hearts are just sort of hanging out on here. And what I'm going to do is I need something to put underneath this so I don't get powdered sugar all over my counter. Let me get a plate. Should have had that set up, but that's okay. I'm just going to pour a little bit in here. Just pouring a little powdered sugar in, probably about a teaspoon. And then I'm just going to dust it lightly over the top. The reason I wait 20 minutes is because there's a lot of moisture in this cake, believe it or not. And I don't want the powdered sugar to just melt into that cake. and not have this effect on the top. So I'm just going to dust that over the top. And then very carefully start taking off my hearts straight up, because I don't want that sugar to come off onto where I have protected it from the sugar. Or you can just flip them so the sugar doesn't go up there. Oops. Okay, and that is my completed 1 bowl chocolate cake. I love it with a great big glass of milk. There's nothing better to me than the taste of chocolate. Okay, so that was my 1 bowl chocolate cake, and it has worn me slap out. So next time, as soon as it gets less humid, I'm going to try and show you how to make my English butter toffee with a chocolate coating and almonds, and it's just good. And after that, I have another cake I'd like to show you, which is more for fall, but it gets asked for a lot around here. It is an oatmeal caramel cake that is absolutely divine. So I hope to be able to show you that real soon. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you make it, what you think. I adore this cake, even though I don't get to eat much of it because I'm a diabetic. And yeah, I got to wear my mom's apron today. Let me see if you can see it. It's a pinafore. I don't wear this one very often because it's kind of dying, but my daughter's back behind me saying I'm going to eat it. She's getting into the cake. It's not even completely cooled yet. But I wear this apron every once in a while because it's old and it's starting to fall apart, and I adore aprons. I was going to actually show you guys how to make an apron out of tea towels, but I'm finding more and more that I'm not able to do these things. Oh my goodness. So she's back there making all these noises. Oh my goodness, it's so good. Okay, I'm glad you're enjoying it, boo-boo. and so now I get to buy my aprons. Anybody have any websites for some really cool aprons that don't cost a fortune? Because y'all know I wear one every day. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys can hear her, but she's hysterical. She's back there making very strange noises. Thanks for watching. What? I don't know. It's really hot. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time on Mama Giesbrecht. Bye.